Hello everyone, welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of fmtraining.tv, where every day at 1 o'clock Pacific time, you have to adjust for your local time zone. We are doing live FileMaker training. It's very exciting, very awesome. There's a lot of people here. A lot of our returning folks who watch the live streams are very excited to have them here. And of course, once again, a guest speaker. Every day the topics are a little different. Today is on the calendar kit, which is something that we created before there was such a thing as an add-on, and then we basically we updated it after that to make sure it supports the latest add-on technology. So it was called an add-on before Claire's kind of hijacked that term and made it a very specific noun that describes this drag and drop functionality. So those of you wondering, I'm looking over on this side. I'm actually watching our live stream because we are streaming in high definition to YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, so you can write a conversation on either one. Upcoming broadcast schedule, the FileMaker platform. Why are we here? Because we are training on the platform. The FileMaker platform is extraordinarily powerful. It's basically professional grade low code, right? As in short, really what it is. And because it's professional grade, it has a lot of capabilities, a lot of awesome things it does. In fact, you have to kind of search far and wide to find things it doesn't do well. There are a handful when we run into them. We're going to be honest with you. We're going to tell you what it doesn't do well, but we're going to show you how to be productive with it, how to make a real difference in your specific organization. Along the way, we discover things, we learn things. Sometimes we bring in outsiders to help present material. Like sometimes we bring in Kyle. He has an interesting perspective, and so we like to see those perspectives here and give everyone the educational moment. So this broadcast is recorded. It will be generally cleaned up and then made available on YouTube and Vimeo, but YouTube mostly, with about 48 hours after it is complete. So the upcoming broadcast schedule today is Calvin. We're talking about the calendar kit. Not so much of its new features, but how you roll it out is a little bit simplified, which is great. Then tomorrow, I will not be here, but Margaret will be here with Kyle Williams. Kyle will be talking about step-by-step on how to install some of that advanced JavaScript web viewer stuff that you saw last week with Kyle, how to do a step-by-step install for people who are brand new beginners to maybe intermediate, which means that Kyle's default speed is going to be like, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, you're going to do warp drive, and then a flex capacitor, and then you're going to cross wire to this wire, then this rope, and then over here, and then we're going to kill this unicorn and sprinkle the blood, and then you're done. That's way too fast. That's Kyle's normal speed. Margaret's going to break out the Kyle Be Good stick, like a little crack the whip. We're going to make Kyle go slow, 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 so we can all learn the step-by-step process of rolling some of this out. It's not as simple as drag and drop yet. Some of it, there's some drag and drop, but there's always a little bit more work that goes into it, and that's what we're trying to educate. So then Wednesday, we're going to rehash the PayPal conversation. It's a free solution we have. We haven't really talked about it almost ever in a very, very, very long time, like over 2 years. And so John Hogle, one of our senior-ish engineers, is going to be with us here going through the PayPal API work. So once again, we're using the JSON that we were teaching you last week. Basically, it's a communication between your client, FileMaker Pro client, or maybe your FileMaker server, and PayPal to create invoices, to send the invoices to customers. When the customer pays direct PayPal, then PayPal will let you know, right? So it's a pretty good conversation. And Thursday, if everyone gets their stuff together, including Kyle, we are going to have Wolfpack X6. So it's got a couple new add-ons to it, some updates to add-ons. And so it's going to be kind of a low-hanging fruit kind of exercise on that. Thursday's open Q&A with myself and Jacob Taylor. Jacob Taylor's back from vacation. He's digging out. And he continues to be one of the smarter people I've ever met. And then Calvin's kit will be free to you folks today, maybe tomorrow. And then after that, we'll pull the plug. Because normally the only way to get the calendar kit is you have to buy our complete training bundle, right? And what the hell is this complete training bundle? Well, convenient that you ask. If you come over here to the website right here, you can press the button for the live training right here, but you can press the button for the bundles, you get all our training and all our kind of like super secret add-on kits, things like that we have. It's quite great. Plus, it earns you a special warm spot in our heart, and it gets you a free hour of coaching if you're looking for that. So the bundle is right here. You get the bundle with FileMaker and all our training and goodness, or you can get just the bundle without anything, the video training only without anything else in it. So it's really great. We greatly appreciate you when you buy that or update it or renew it. It's an annual subscription, but we appreciate it because that's how we recoup the money for all the live streams that we do. So I'm going to kick it over to Calvin. It's about 9-10 minutes here. Calvin, are you there? Calvin, kind of, can you walk, I mean, I guess at some point we'll need to visit the website, but can you walk us through what you're doing real quick, and why do we care about this and what's going on?
Right. So the originally we had this file called the Calendar Add-on Kit, and it even predated, like Richard said, it predated FileMaker add-ons. And what it did is I think it was about 10 steps. It walked you through taking this JavaScript calendar and putting it in your file, and you could either assign it to an existing tasks table or create a new tasks table to display events on that calendar. And it walked you through step by step. And I think we did a live stream where we were able to install it in an app in about 45 minutes. And now we've taken now that FileMaker has this add-on capability, we've updated it to be an add-on. So all you have to do is push this button that says install as an add-on. It gets installed in your add-on library, and then you just drag and drop it into your app. And it comes over as a complete package, and it works right there. So instead of taking, usually in my demo, it took me 45 minutes. It can take a couple hours to install. Now it only takes a few minutes.
Okay, so people ask the question, the question comes up, hey, why do we care about the calendar kit? Because Claris has this free calendar kit based in the product, right? So what's funny about this, the backstory in this, so when Claris was looking for inspiration for the add-ons, they said, oh, Richard has this add-on thingy. And so we sent them a copy of the add-on for free. We gave it to the product management team down there. They went, oh, this is so amazing. They basically hijacked it. I kid you not. They hijacked our sample, and it ended up becoming part of the keynote address 2 years ago, right? Right before, it was when they were shipping 18, they were promising 19 the next year, whatever. That was a couple of 2.5 years. It was like, was that Florida? I guess it was Florida. 2019 in Florida, yeah. I think. And so what was interesting about that was that they took our calendar kit, this product that you see here, they stripped some of the functionality out of it, made it simpler, then they made it drag and drop. So people are like, oh, well, we don't need to get this one. Well, this one is multi-user, multi-category. It's designed legitimately with all the things that people are going to ask for. Can I do this, and can I do this, and can I do this? And so the one that Claris has in the add-ons, the free add-on, is pretty limited. This one has more capabilities. That's why, frankly, we built it in the first place, because people outgrow it almost instantaneously. Unless you're a company of one person and you only do one thing where you see one calendar, you're going to outgrow it in about 8.5 minutes. And so you need the normal beefy one, right? The beefy calendars. We should call it Beefy Calendar Kit. There we go. All right, so I'm going to let you show your screen, Calvin, and walk us through what we are doing here. That would be great.
Okay, so we have here add-on. This is version 3.02. And so here's the calendar kit. I'm going to drag and drop this into FileMaker 19. And it's important that it opens in FileMaker 19. Often I'm working with 2 or 3 versions of FileMaker at the same time. And so you want to make sure that it opens in 19. And actually, it'll give you an error if you try somewhere else.
So there's 2 options, and hopefully he will resurface here shortly. There's 2 options. We preserved the manual install. So we did a step-by-step manual installation of it. That's the one option. So we preserved the original functionality. A lot of times if we have something that works, we'll kind of leave it in the product so people can roll to that and learn more about that, which is kind of interesting. Once again, reminder, this is a paid product. We're giving it to you live streamers today for free. If you're a bundle person, buy one of our training bundles and you'll get this. You get this updated version for free anyway. So Calvin, are you there? And what's wrong with your internet besides it's you?
Yeah, it was fine up until now. I'm
Okay.
still here.
Yeah,
You hear
okay.
me?
Yep, you're there. So why don't we go ahead and open it up, and I open it up and I walk us through. We preserve the original installation option. Is that correct, Calvin, right here?
That's correct.
Okay, so then
So we did want to get rid of that.
so we have the new option right here. So you want to pick it up from right there because that's where you dropped off the planet.
Right. We wanted to keep the original installation options just in case you wanted to use those. There is a use case where you may, for example, you might want to have a little more control about how those layouts and scripts are installed. Instead of going back and trying to reverse engineer, you just follow those steps. But option one, the one that we think most people will use, is to install on the add-on to the add-on library. So I'll go ahead and select the install to add-on library. It's going to ask me if I'd like to install, and I will say yes, install.
So it's installing it onto the copy of FileMaker Pro on this specific computer right now, correct? Is that what it's doing?
That is correct. So now it's installed on this computer, and it's going to need, the way we install it to have everything display correctly, we'll need to restart FileMaker. So it's going to quit FileMaker, and we'll bring it back up by opening this Contacts app. And this is one of the sample files from Claris, just their basic Contacts app. Now I'll go into layout mode. And on the left side, we have this add-ons pane where we can select to add an add-on. And so I'm going to select plus. And if I search for kit, we'll see the calendar kit right here in our list of add-ons under Richard Carlton Consulting, Inc. I'm going to select choose.
And I imagine
and that added it to this app.
A short delay, I assume, there. Doesn't seem like it was pretty quick, though.
It's pretty quick. This is a local file. It's going to take a little longer if your app is in the is on a server or in the cloud and isn't local. But it's a pretty fast install. And I can drag and drop it onto the screen, and now I get this navigation button to open the calendar. Let's go to browse mode, and I'll select this button. And there's the calendar. It added the scripts, the table occurrences, the layouts, everything that we need for this calendar, and we can start using it right away. Yeah, so we can look under the scripts. You will see that there's a new calendar folder that brought in all the scripts. If we look under layouts, there's a new calendar folder under the layouts, and that's where all the add-on calendar kit layouts are. And if we go under manage database, we can see that there are all of the calendar tables, and also they were added to the relationship graph. And we can see that right away we can drag and drop, we can add a new task, and all of these items are working.
Okay, so
and
where'd that one go? Did it move somewhere? Where did that go? What was the date? Hit the date on that again. Maybe a update here. 8228. Your calendar's set to like an interesting time. Those are like a European date, right? So in the United States, the date is.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
You gotta show how you adjust the languages on this stuff.
Yeah. So I'll open settings. Go to JS function, and if I scroll through here, we'll see that the location is English, AU for Australia. So I'll go back to English, and we'll notice that it updated to the right date format now.
Okay, great. So is that why that appointment didn't surface anywhere?
Yeah, I think for some reason we're not having our UTC or time set up. So so if let's make this PM.
Yeah, you're gonna make that PM.
It's probably just off the chart. I'll say save. And there's our new task, the one we created earlier. And if we refresh, we should see the one that we created just now over here at 4 p.m. So okay. So they were just off the display area.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's partly because now when they download this, what is the default setting? Is it U.S. English? Is that the default setting?
Yeah. So this file that I have sent out is that I've opened is the same one that I sent to Margaret. So it's going to have the same setting in there, but I can change the setting in here to English and the US and have this new link sent out, or refresh that link.
Cool. Glad you folks are here. So yeah, the calendars, this big calendar's been around for a while. It's based, as Calvin's going to take care of whatever he's doing, I'm going to make him slightly smaller briefly. It's based upon a company technology called fullcalendar.io. So this is a hugely popular Java-based calendaring system. And it's already built. It already works. You can see kind of how it looks here. We customize it a little bit to make it work better with FileMaker. To make, there's this interaction back and forth between FileMaker and the web viewer. So once again, we're doing a JavaScript function call. Web viewer talks to FileMaker, vice versa. So that was a big improvement with 19. A lot of people are like, the other day I had like a state agency, they said, oh yeah, we're using FileMaker 12. We want you to come work on them. I'm like, no, it's too old, right? I mean, there's so many great things with newer versions of FileMaker, and one of which is getting the web viewers to really interact closely. Kyle's advanced work, technology stuff, heavily dependent upon that. So, yeah, Kyle says, I created a full calendar integration a few years ago. I was surprised how customizable it is. There's a lot of great things that work well with FileMaker. The add-on will save a lot of time. Yeah, so this is one that it was funny, we had a product in market, and then Claris and it was already called an add-on, and then people got it and were confused because we were already using that terminology to show that it was something you could buy to add into FileMaker, not that it was using this drag and drop technology. So, Calvin, let me talk about licensing real quick. So, this is for the JavaScript is basically a free download. It's kind of open source. Our implementation into FileMaker is what we're charging for. Unless you're here with the broadcast, you'll get it for free. And Margaret will do an update on that at some point. Calvin, when you send that to her, we don't see your screen right now. I'm assuming at some point you're going to do that, right?
Yes, I'll send that to her as soon as we're done here.
Okay, great. So they do have a more advanced version that they try to sell you on, right? So basically, there's this is supercharged. There's all sorts of great stuff in here, but they have a pricing. If you go to pricing, it's standard is free, then they have premium, then they have they have all sorts of pricing on this stuff. So anyway, it should be interesting to see customizable license terms, stock commercial license, so all this crazy stuff. So MIT open source version right here, which is what we're using. And then what you can do is you can upgrade and do, there's this timeline views. There's other views besides the basic calendar view, right? So if you want React, Vue, Angular, I haven't used Vue ever, but that's there. Printer-friendly rendering. That would be an upgrade that people could pay for to get. That might be an interesting one. I've not seen this one. Printer-friendly rendering. Yeah. So obviously the Full Calendar IO people create a really popular free product, and they're trying to figure out how to make revenue on it, and I fully support that. So interesting. Calvin, I'm going to let you pick up the conversation a little bit in terms of integration and customization, I guess, with your solution, right?
Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could start with this add-on and then see what other possibilities that they have with Full Calendar. I've done work with the scheduler. Nick Hunter did a pretty exhaustive implementation of the scheduler for managing employees and work schedules and classes and students. And it's pretty awesome you can expand it. And it's really, this is the starting point for what you can do with a calendar. And but it's, most people will need this, but there's a lot more opportunity as well.
All right, so what I want to do is Kyle put some pictures in down here of his implementation of this product. And so I'm going to pop, I don't know if it'll let me pop this up. Do that? Yeah, so this is some of the stuff that Kyle worked on, doing schedules, things like that. He did this one. Let's see what else we got over here. He did this one right here. That's more of a, is this a Gantt chart right here? It looks like a Gantt chart, right? And I know that's a paid upgrade right there. So that's pretty slick stuff. So that's where you can pay to get the upgraded version of this thing. So you got kind of like different roles for different people. You can see those. It does a lot. It's really flexible. Yeah, so very, very, very cool. So once again, once you have our solution, it is basically unlocked, so you can customize it. And it looks like that's what Kyle said he did. I add some filters and date selector, as well as a FMGo calendar integration. Timeline view is a paid version feature. Yeah, so if you want the timeline, this one here is kind of a Gantt chart, laterally left and right. This is their paid product upgrade. Ours is because it's basically the inexpensive cheapy calendar. Claris is using the same one, kind of open source, and so it's kind of a good starting point. Ours is multi-user, multi-category, and so we're in this this area over here, right? Very, very, very cool. What we're interested in knowing is how to integrate the activities, right? How do you do that? Kyle's there. There's
Yep,
Kyle. Kyle, we'll get Calvin a second to try to reset himself. You've implemented this, Kyle. What is your opinion of this tool in terms of that? What is your thought process in terms of difficulty and integrating it? Not so much with the Gantt chart. This is obviously much more advanced, but the basics of integration, right?
Yeah, it was really tricky to figure it all out because I was doing it a few years ago, and I think only Jeremy Brown had done a version of this. So I played around with his, and I studied all the documentation and figured out how to create all of this. And yeah, it's been great for our company to be able to have a calendar that we can use in FileMaker that shows FileMaker records. Also, we use it with the full slate calendar, so I can integrate it with our full slate calendar, which is an online scheduling software for the clinics.
Full slate, I've not heard of full slate. So full slate is a vertical market product for the clinics.
It is. So yeah, so it's a third-party app. So it's an internet app that can allow our clients to log into full slate, and then they schedule their appointments online through their account, and then we get to see that in each of the clinics. They each have a different landing page, and we get to see all the schedules. So I'm able to do an integration into our full slate calendar and have that download into FileMaker, and we could see it in FileMaker, all the current appointments that we have for each location. So it's super powerful. I've also done another little feature in FileMaker Go that integrates into it, and I did some different JavaScript and HTML to kind of show that. I don't have it right in front of me.
That's fine. That's fine. Kind of an ad hoc kind of moment.
Actually, I do have it in front of me here. Just a moment. Sorry, I was kind of just trying to show that we can do this in FileMaker here. So if see, I can go back a few months. Let's see. So we'll just go to the week, and this is accordion view. So this is all in FileMaker. So wow. This is designed for the tablets. I can do a search for stuff. I can just hit this and go to any date, and then I can view the whole month. And then I can also do it. I can view everyone's schedule or my own schedule. So there's buttons in there for all of that.
High degree of customization, yeah. Right? So
yeah. So this is all HTML code here, so you can see all the buttons. I can also show how to get this feature going to tomorrow. This inspect element. I'm sure a lot of people, when they get into developing JavaScript and FileMaker, this is super powerful because then you get to see, exactly the details of each of these parts as you hover over them, which helps you customize the CSS. So I go over here and I can just start changing things, and it changes right when you change it. So you get to play around with all these different parts.
So we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. Is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I can bring this up tomorrow and show you the code that you need to use in the terminal in order to activate the inspect element feature.
Yeah, we definitely want to cover that tomorrow. I don't want to pivot too far into that now. Question along the way, Oregon Dean. I want to run a calendar server that manages to create that manages events created in FileMaker, hundreds of thousands of events that do not change. Well, so okay, so that Kyle. So this is kind of a good question for you. Okay, Calvin keeps dying and coming back, so I'm going to let Kyle. I'm going to field this one to Kyle real quick. If you had Oregon Dean's asking this question, right? So the question is I want to run a calendar server that manages events created in FileMaker. So there's two ways of doing it. One, you have to find a kind of a home for the record data. Like every appointment or event is a record in FileMaker, right? And he's saying hundreds of thousands of records. Well, FileMaker will do hundreds of thousands of records, but maybe you should be integrating that with, say, Zulu or something and using Google Calendar for that, right? A bigger engine. Because remember, this system, let me explain this to people. This system is a display engine for the data. It's not a back-end calendar. This is the full calendar.io is not, and it's very important that everyone understands this, it's not the back-end, it's not like the back-end data. They're not saying, hey, we have a database here to store your appointments in. If you have if you have a list of records and appointments, but what ends up happening is that there's no data backend. So you need a data backend. So your data backend can be either Google Calendar, it can be some other calendar. You could probably have some sort of Azure open Active Directory kind of Outlook calendar. But you can also use FileMaker as the backend. The question is, this is a display engine for a web browser, which makes it work in a web viewer. So it's a display engine and frankly kind of an input engine too, right? Does that make sense? So he says, yeah, he understands the front end. I'm wondering, is it better to use Google to run my own open source calendar server? And if folks have integrated that. Well, we use Google that's a good question. I mean, that basically gets into, yeah, I mean, I would look at the 360. There's a question is he needs his own calendar system and he wants a big one. I would look at 360 Works and their calendar integration. I mean, probably Kyle, you can unmute yourself. You actually have something here on this, but basically, I wouldn't just roll my own. I've had an engineer roll his own, integration, right, with wrote his own API and all this sort of stuff to talk to Google Calendar, right? But I don't know that's necessary. You could use an open product, right? Open source, or a product that you pay for like this.
So yeah, the way I've done the integration with full calendar is I never load more than 1 month at a time. So it'll work with hundreds of thousands of records. You just can't load that many. So you have to be very careful about how many you're loading. So when you're going to a week view, you only want to see the events for that week and nothing else. When you go to the next week, then your script will run some JavaScript to load those records in for the next week and show them.
Yeah, so that came up
limit what you're showing
when we were building our calendar kit, the 1.0 version. Initially we were sending all the data out of FileMaker to it, and then to this calendar, this open calendar display engine, right, which was over here. We would send all our records to it. Then we realized it started going slower and slower and slower. So then we want to send just the records that we think you need to display. So, say for example, we send only this month of records. Then you go to the previous month, nothing shows up. So the question is, how far do you expect someone to maneuver around in this tool? Forward a month, back a month, things like that. You have to take that into account, right? That's the data, the found set of data you're going to push to basically this display engine, right? So,
correct.
Yeah. So, Calvin, do we want to try with you again? Are you there? He's muted. We'll see.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Do you want to try to walk us through again for like the third time the calendar kit, if we want to drag and drop, and how are we going to integrate it with the appointments? Because people almost always, before they do this, they almost somewhere in a database have a list of things, appointments that they need to have, right? It's in a FileMaker file, it's a list view, etc.
Right. So if we want to update install the add-on and then have it point to a different table for the
Appointments.
Events,
Yeah.
we'll need to update that. Yeah, the appointments. We'll need to update that in this script over here that we use to refresh. So let's go ahead and open this script. And the script that we'll want to look at is the HTML calendar collect tasks for display. Let's go ahead and open that. And here is the this calendar events set variable is where we define where we want to pull those events from. And sometimes I'll do a loop here so it pulls from multiple tables. Sometimes I'll just have a list of set variables so it can pull from multiple places. And in this case, it's just pulling from one. And right here is where it's telling us which field we want to pull from, and also some of the find criteria. And so in this case, we have our pulling the data from tasks, and we would want to just update this to point to an appointments table, whatever appointments table you want. The one new field you would need is the calendar JSON field. So the calendar JSON field over here is the calculation field that puts the FileMaker data into a format that the full calendar can read. So you could copy this calculation, paste it into your appointments table, and then repurpose each of these, replace each of these fields with the appropriate start and end date and time, etc. And then update this script to collect tasks for display so that it points to the right table. If you're going to go to that effort, though, it might be easier to follow the manual installation than try to reverse engineer and change the add-on after it's installed. The manual steps walk you through that.
Yeah. So can you kind of wind our way back? So this gets back to this original, why we leave the old way in there, because it actually walks you through the process of identifying. If we can go back to that. Yeah. It walks you the process of identifying where your appointments or your events or whatever, the items that go on the calendar here, right? So remember here, so this is step 1, step 2, step 3, and it walks you through this whole process, right? And so it's very educational. It's designed to be, frankly, start and stop. But if you need help with this, you can get help from, one of the people on the live stream. You get help from RCC on this. But the point is, we made this so you'd have it's about 10 steps, Calvin. Is that what it is about total? Yeah.
So jump to the end and see exactly how many it is. So it's, I guess there's a total of 13 steps. The last couple are just for setting up your preferences and how you want that to work.
Yeah, and this is
restoring from a backup.
We get questions about that all the time. So there's a backup functionality. People can change the JavaScript, the HTML, they can break it, so we can restore it back the way it was. But I see in our tech support, because I keep an eye on the tech support team, I see questions every week about customizing the date, customizing the time, customizing the locale of it. And it's English, North American English, and you got Australian English, which is somewhat different, and then you got British, and then the EU is different ways they have of doing things there. It's not radically hard because we're not dealing with currency, but dates and times and things look a little different, right?
Yeah, one of the great things about the add-ons in general is that after you add it, you could try it and see if that works for you. And then if you don't like how that went, you can always right click on the add-on and say uninstall. And at that point, it will go through and completely remove it from your app. And then you can, if you choose to go back and do it manually, you can try it the easy way first.
Cool.
And see if you like it.
Yeah. The easy way is a good way to play with it, but if you really want to integrate it, maybe going through the manual process is better for that, right? Yeah, because the add-on has to make certain assumptions, right? It assumes that you don't already have an events table, things like that. If you had an events table, it wouldn't be able to automatically identify it and thread it in. There's no artificial robo AI, right? The great AI. It'll automatically, you drag and drop it, it automatically figures out where your events are over here. It automatically ties the right field correctly. All that kind of stuff. If you want that, it's called, you need a FileMaker coach is what you need. That's what a coach does. They have a living human being that actually can see what you need and help you figure that out, right? Or you can come to Livestream. Kyle can babble at you, although he has a full-time day job as well. So other questions. Tawa says, how to connect with iCal. iCal is the Apple calendar, right? So Tawa asked this question. You can't see it on here. How to connect with iCal. So what I would do is what RCC does is we use a full calendar as a presentation engine to display information, events out of FileMaker. Then for integration with iCal or any other calendaring system, we basically assume that people will connect their iCal to Google Calendar. That's kind of like a normal thing. People use Google Calendar, they connect iCal to it. You can do that. And then if you go to 360works, you go back to them, you can see all their products. And at the bottom, you can see Zulu, which is this integration. So this connects the FileMaker data to Google Calendar, right? Makes sense? That's how you would do that. So once again, we're back to this issue that Zulu is not really a presentation engine. It's not a display the calendar and make it look like a monthly view or a week view. Like over here, you see this is what he did. Okay, this is what maybe Google Calendar on their website would do. It's also what full calendar will do. This is the display of it. Under the hood, the records all they are is an event name, probably an event ID, a date, and a time. Right? That's all there is. So this is a synchronization product, kind of like MirrorSync, but it's a specific synchronization product that's designed to, integrate with Google Calendar, Exchange, Office 365, if you're into that. And then what normally happens is people who are using iOS and OS 10, they end up using, or OS 11 or whatever the hell we call it now, Mac OS. They end up, mostly the people I know connect to Google Calendar. So if you get to Google and connect with Google, then Google talks back and feeds iOS and Mac OS, right? Makes sense? So that's how we use it at RCC. We use this ourselves. We eat our own dog food. So we use these two products complementary to each other. And we talk to Google Calendar on that. So cool. So Kyle's typing. Margaret, any other questions we have? Because we're kind of coming up the end here.
I was looking for questions. I don't really see any.
Zulu is probably the best way to integrate multiple calendars. Yeah, I mean, that's what we use. Like I said, once again, we're using Zulu, right? We have calendars for each of the coaches, and they each have their own calendar, and so that threads automatically. Pretty nice.
Morgan Dean says he's good for now.
Good. Well, we like it when we answer and ask questions. So Warner is asking questions about printing the JavaScript, and we want to go back and revisit that. I'll see if we can get the Australian Digital Fusion people to come on the show and talk about how they do that. I think it's they've got a great solution called WebBeats. It's pretty slick. And there's basic levels of calendar, all the basic stuff like categories and individual calendars for individual people, although they don't have to be people. You could have a calendar for a room, like Apple, whenever a lot of these corporations, they name rooms. Like you might have a room called Area 51 would be like a conference room. And that conference room could have its own schedule, right? So its own calendar, right? And you could see all those and see what was available, right? Looks about it for now. I want to thank the moderators, Larry and Ken, for being helpful on the broadcast. We greatly appreciate all the hard work. Reminder, tomorrow Kyle will be broadcasting. His internet does seem to be working marginally better, which is nice. And once again, the reason we're talking about this is the technology that we use ourselves. It's reliable. It's pretty. It works pretty well. Pretty happy about how Full Calendar works. Pretty reliable. It's one of those things you build and you're like, God, is it going to be fragile, right? And you hope not. And it's been pretty damn reliable. I've been pretty happy with it.
Oh, did you get the last question on Twitch, by the way?
How do I schedule my 1-hour mentor for subscribers? Send an email to support@RC Consulting. 1-hour coaching session. Send an email to support@RC Consulting. Say I'm a bundle subscriber and I would love to get a free hour coaching. Okay, that'd be great. All right, cool. I appreciate everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.
Just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap. Stands in, throws it left for Amendola. Reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.